Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market, as you get ready for the United States stock market to open up here in the next 2 minutes. So we'll take a peek over at that. Of course, we'll look over there at precious metals like gold and silver and the U.S. dollar currency index, or the DXY, any type of news that is going on out there today in financial markets and in crypto markets. And then lastly, we'll just kind of hang out. So, how we typically do on Wednesdays. So I hope that you guys are doing well. Happy midpoint of the week.
It is Wednesday, my dude.
All right, guys, what's going on? All right, we've got some, we got a little bit of green out there in the market, a little bit of a mixed market, but we got some green out there. Stock market looks like it'll open a couple of points to the upside, so we'll see how that goes as things get settled in. I'm not sure when it's coming out. There's been so much going on in my life. I know there's going to be some unemployment revisions. I don't recall if that's coming out today or when that is. We'll try to look that up on live stream and see what's supposed to happen. But pretty much everybody's already kind of anticipating what the data is going to say, so it shouldn't be any surprise to the market. I hope that you've been doing well. I've been, man, it's the middle of August. So in the United States, this is really like one of the hottest months that there are. I've been outside a lot, doing a lot of gardening stuff and working on stuff and just kind of getting everything kind of fixed up from the heat, of course, that we have at this time of year. So I've been spending a ridiculous amount of time outside. I don't know why I told you that, but I did. Anyway, let's dive on into what's going on in the crypto market. Of course, you know, there was the big sell-off that took place there on August 5th, I believe that was, right? Monday, August 5th. That was the liquidation of broader markets, everything like that. With the Japanese yen and all that carry trade and raising rates over there, lowering rates here. I don't have the CME index up real quick to see what the anticipation is on cuts. Let's have that. Let's take a look. 28 days anticipation is a 25 basis point rate cut. And there's been good points being made about this, that to only have a 25 basis point rate cut, because if they come out and do a 50 basis point rate cut, it would signal to the market that there's problems, rather than being like, well, things have been tight for long enough. We'll go ahead and start easing things and loosening the conditions a little bit because they've been very tight. We'll go back to moderate. But if they did like a 50 basis point rate cut, it would be signaling, oh, there's problems. We're having to move very swiftly and aggressively. So good to see the market sitting there thinking only 25 basis points. That was what the market has priced in at this point. As for the crypto market, you can see over there, Bitcoin sitting at 59.5, still just hanging out there. Things have been okay. What are we on? 2.5 weeks since that flush happened. Still just holding steady, happening in there. You guys know, you guys have been watching the videos. We've been talking all about this. I don't feel like I should have to go into all of this. You know, over the course of the next really week and a half, if we're going to be in, if cycle theory is anyway going to prove itself true, there would have to be some big wake ups happening throughout the market. Of course, in yesterday's video, we talked about this. This was a big one happening in there to see Tron be able to get out of there. Tron is not any significant part of my portfolio, but of course, I'm always excited to see things that are showing up in the market and to see them happening to give signals for other things going on in the market. So we know that we're looking for significant breaks to happen in the market right now based on all these things that we talk about and that we see throughout markets. So, of course, seeing that brings some excitement because that was a big break, right? You got stuck there 6 months ago. It's February 28th, 26th, 27th, somewhere in there. Here we are all the way now in August. It just smashes through the 786 and the 702 at the exact same time in the same day. So, very exciting to see some type of life show up in there. Still waiting on more things to be able to show signs of life through here. And of course, XRP, can you wake up at some point? What is it? August 27th, I think is what we put in that's what I put on the thumbnail of the video. Marks the exact day of how long it took for all of these things to play out. Back in 2014 through 17. At that point, August 27th would signify the longest point ever. So here we are. What is today? August 21st. So 6 days from today, that will be the marking point of when those things like XRP and Litecoin exploded in the market in this environment that we're experiencing right now. So still just kind of a waiting thing for something to show up in the market. And I think that's why this was so exciting to see that, because you see it in the intro of the channel. We talk about this so much. We talk about these retracement levels on how markets work, right? They don't tend to go down in a straight line forever. We tend to, at minimum, do some type of a retracement. Then when you get to the retracement, that's where all fear sets in. Usually the market's not like that. Usually back at the retrace, the market's going to be euphoric. It can be irrationally exuberant, extreme risk taking back at the retracement levels. But that's where things can get rejected from. However, when you're able to break through them, especially when you get rejected by it, fight your way back and then break through it, just in my years of being in here, that typically is a really good sign. So I like seeing that happen in there. But of course, we are all still stuck waiting for something to arrive here in broader markets at the same time to give that assurance now, right? Like you can look back to really how this kind of played out here back in October through, I guess through March, right? October through March, and how things happened when the market ripped all together, right? We were in, let me take Bitcoin off the screen here really quick, right? In the Russell, right? What had happened? We obviously see this. I mean, like it's an undeniable fact. You know, I mean, the top of the markets, they come in together, right? You see these things happening in here, right? They happen in congruence with each other. That is what it is, right? And then what do? We go on into this long range right in here, right? And our market gets stuck down in here as well. But then eventually it starts working its way up, right? So we know throughout history, there's got to be this relationship between these two things happening in here. But like the timing of them, of course, like when you look back to 2013, 2017, and 2021, particularly 2013 and 2017, you got really a head start that happened over there in the Russell. However, here in 2020 and 21, it wasn't necessarily a monstrous lead, right? It was really just like a week or two ahead that the Russell had gotten. But then we kind of come in here, like we still see that, right? Like this range is still stuck in here. And it's the escaping of this range. So it was a move that the market knew was not just going to be another washing machine to continue on in here, right? That this was all phases of Wyckoff, that was spring, and then that it was going to shift out from that range, right? And so we know that crypto moved up with it. We know Bitcoin moved up with it as well. But you can look at the timing of this, though, right? Like while the events were happening essentially at the same time, you could see, of course, the Russell tops just slightly later than when Bitcoin tops. And you can actually see the move in Bitcoin started slightly before the Russell. So I remember this. If you guys remember this, and I know it was tweeted a lot. So this is not to pick on anyone in particular, but I know Anthony Pompliano had tweeted the decoupling of Bitcoin from the stock market during this moment when this happened right in here. And we had gone back and we had shown other times too, when those reversal points had come in back in 2020, that same kind of thing happened right there in the very beginning, that something like that had actually happened in there. But then, of course, then they all start getting to go together, and then they're off by a couple of days. But the grand move is all together. So, of course, we're all looking to the Russell being like, come on, give us a head start, give us a head sign, tell us that it's going to happen first. But even in our most recent move that we had in here, didn't necessarily get the signal from the Russell first that it was going to come. And then, of course, that was a challenge for a lot when the crypto market got back to the retracements. That Russell was still marching here, but we were back at retracement levels for both of the market. The point I'm getting at is another thing. It just makes it real difficult right here when we're in these phases of knowing, hey, we have to have these expansion things happen in broader markets at the same time. And then you say, okay, well, do I need to have a rule set to say, well, if I'm not seeing the expansion, then that means it's not going to end up coming, right? Like that's the logic to draw, because you look back to 2013, you look back to 2017, and you say, well, you got the head start on those things to happen in here. Where are you? You're right here, right? Right, you got the head start on the Russell back in 2016. You got the head start back in here on 2013. So you say, oh man, it's not, I don't see that. At least that's, a lot of things that have been running through my head. Like, we're just not seeing that. We're not seeing that head start. But then we move over here and we say, hey, these were pretty close, right? They were pretty close. That kind of lead that was given there by the Russell wasn't necessarily as big as last time. And then you go into here and you say, while the correlation is still blatantly obvious, the tightening of it occurring happens a whole lot more simultaneously rather than an actual lead happening in there. So point being, it sure would be nice if the Russell would lead to kind of relieve some of that worry. But at the same time, you can look at it and you can say, well, if it's not leading, does that automatically mean it's not going to happen? Not necessarily, just based on what we've seen, that they can occur simultaneously. And even just like in this last move, Bitcoin and crypto actually gave a little bit of a head start before it did. And the market was convinced the decoupling has finally happened. It has finally occurred. And no, it wasn't. It was just that this got the early start. Bitcoin, they talk about how like, when broader markets are closed, because crypto is a 24/7 market and stocks and everything are closed over the weekend, that you can really kind of get a feel for what the stock market is going to do based on what the cryptocurrency market is doing throughout the weekend. And I think we just kind of got that from crypto a little bit ahead of time. So not the point of it all being, it's still just sitting on the edge of our toes saying, is this going to arrive? And if it does, can it take it all with it? Right. My personal thoughts are, if Russell can go, then I think crypto is going to go without an issue, because it always has. And it still proves the correlation still exists. But I don't think there's a lot of weight that can be put on it entirely that the Russell isn't leading, just because of how much tighter these spreads have gotten and those correlations over time. So it's still a challenge, but it doesn't change anything that these are correlated. I often have to wonder why we have to fight that as an industry. We have to fight against these narratives so hard. And I think it's just there's so much business built around the idea that it's block reward halvings. I think there's so much content and so much money that gets made off selling those ideas when we the peak of the Russell and the peak of Bitcoin, the range, right? It's all there. So anyway, we are still waiting. All right, moving back over, Bitcoin now at 59,090. Let's see if anything's going off the stock market, as the stock market is now open. We'll get all this off the screen in here. This is actually just based on some tweets that were done this morning. I already had those charts already built. Looks like the stock market's doing okay. Ford's going up a little bit. Ford announced, I guess, discontinuation plans on the F-150 electric vehicle that they were doing. Market's not responding poorly to that, because they actually came out and announced they were really cutting a lot of their electric stuff. And that was weeks ago, and it took a big 20% crash on that. So I don't think the market is in any way surprised by any of that at this point. Indexes are looking okay. Dow is up 24 points. NASDAQ is up 46 points. S&P up 13. The one that we all care about, the Russell, it's up 4 points. So kind of mid-pack, nothing big happening over there with the Russell. Nothing big happening over there in crypto at this point right now is kind of interesting. We're actually seeing some a little bit more red starting to proliferate through the crypto market as the stock market has opened, even though we haven't really seen anything happen in the stocks. So, all right. Moving over to the DXY, this has been an interesting one. The DXY continues to move down, now down to 101.45. I remember that's a pretty decent move happening in here, and we have not seen any reaction come from crypto just yet. I remember when we initially had this fall happen in here, it was super exciting. But what happened? Then FTX happened right after that. I'm not sitting here saying FTX. I'm just trying. It used to be, a lot of the thoughts used to be that there was like this extreme correlation between DXY falling and that making the cryptocurrency market rip. And we did used to see that, but we actually have seen a lot of that change over the years. Let's see, I'll put BLX. Right, we used to see that it actually would fall pretty well with the market. But then it really became a lot less as time went on. And if you look at the run from Bitcoin's all-time high from like $17,000 right here all the way up to 64, it all just happens in this window. So we had to go through like a lot of this fall happening in here without huge big expansions happening in here, and that has just been the case. And then you can see there in this fall right in here a lot less. So we've just seen a lot less, and just the obvious things are the bigger moves with the breadth opening in markets. So it's nice to see this, right? Because we know that getting through here, this is the thing that continuously seems to break markets when we get through 106. So we're not there. It's all just thumb twiddling and waiting on this guy. So, all right, there we go. We looked at this in a video earlier this week. I went through all these phases in here. It is still like we are all just sitting around waiting. And I think it's got to be that. Again, I think all these things are pointing to it on that. And we've got some signs showing up in here, but not a whole lot has changed, right? This type of behavior, it's really just kind of the same as where we were last week when we met with each other. Although hopefully spirits are a little bit better now that we're a couple of weeks removed from the chaos of August 5th. Gold has been interesting. Gold hitting $2,500. Again, another one of those weird dynamics of markets. I think that's one of the reasons why people lean on block reward halvings, because it does become so much more difficult when we have to look through all these phases and all these different elements that are happening in markets. But again, this is another one of those weird ones. Gold is way up still. How's silver doing today? Silver's at 29.33. So silver actually came back from getting down to 26.60. So silver made a pretty decent balance. I can't remember where it was last week when we ended up meeting with each other. It must have been right around there. So quite a big bump, about $2 in silver since the last time we saw each other. My thoughts, again, I'm a big silver and gold guy. I think you're working something like that out right now. But, even something like that on an asset like this, just phase-wise, this range could still go on for a long time. There's no telling how long that range could last. If that range is going to last a month, 2 months, a year, no, I have no clue. But I'm massively bullish on silver. All right, I think that really covers it for price action. Nothing is broken in here for Bitcoin. We're still waiting for a stair step up to happen over here. The big news, of course, was to see a top 10 asset by market cap. Again, people come on here, they want to super chat $3 and then say, hey, talk about my rank 450 coin, right? That has $2,000 of daily liquidity, but let's show it to 20,000 people and hopefully they'll run and buy my asset that I loaded up on. We don't talk about those. Because I'm not here to do that. We don't talk about meme coins. But we'll talk about stuff that's in the top 50, top 100, and especially stuff that's in the top 10. And this is a top 10 asset, and that was a major break that happened there from a retracement level standpoint. And after being rejected 6 months ago, it was so fantastic to see that. But we still wait for stair stepping to happen on Bitcoin, and of course, we wait for something to happen with XRP as it just continues waddling in here. We know we're in that time period where things should start happening if cycle theory is to remain true, but cycle theory is really dependent on this. So I'm more curious, not necessarily that it's cycle theory remaining true, but is it the powers that be in Wall Street and the US government that do things when they're supposed to do? That's my thoughts. All right, as for Fed cuts, though, it doesn't look like we're going to get 2 cuts. Looks like we're going to get 1, which is consistent. I think, is Jerome Powell speaking today? I think they're at Jackson Hole. I think that's today. But okay, that really kind of covers what's going on today. There hasn't been much price move after the liquidation happening in there. Everything is really just kind of sat steady. Still waiting on anything to show up in here on broader markets. And I think we've covered all that in videos. So nothing has changed, and there's nothing truly exciting about this morning in particular on this Wednesday, outside of course, being Wednesday, and we're live together. So, all right, moving on over there to news. Ford delays new EV plant and cancels electric 3-row SUV as it shifts strategy. GMC expects to outsell electric truck competitors and launches new Sierra pickup. I'm still not in the belief that people give 2 rats about electric. I may be living with my hands over my eyes and covering my ears, like I'm just not believing it. I don't believe for half a second any country dude is out there buying an electric truck. I just don't believe it. I don't for half a second. All right. Target CEO addresses price gouging accusations in retail as strength training gets more popular. Peloton and Planet Fitness shift focus. Target shares spike on hopes for rising profits, even as discounter gives cautious sales outlook. Nothing going on. Nothing going on. All right. Crypto news. Like I mentioned, I don't ever read crypto news. I totally think it's provides no alpha. But I do understand. It's interesting. It's good to sometimes hear the things that are going on. I think you just get a lot of opinion pieces that happen in here, and a lot of it is probably paid for. Yeah. All right. Bitcoin miner Bitfarm is to buy rival Stronghold Digital for $175 million in stock debt. The deal comes weeks after Riot Platforms dropped a bid to buy Bitfarms, choosing to try and overhaul the company's board before pursuing a takeover again. Like that. I just don't care. Trump tops Harris on Polymarket. Tron Cardano in green as Bitcoin sinks. Traders said that Bitcoin would need to break above $61,000 level and stay above it if sentiment were to change among market participants. Bitcoin bear trap? ? Goldman says Wednesday's U.S. jobs report is likely to overstate weakness. Wednesday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics will publish a preliminary estimate of the benchmark revision to the level of monthly non-farm payrolls from April 2023 to March of 2024. So I think we're all kind of waiting on that. Maybe that's what got posted. You think the stock market would have responded to that if that was true. Okay, moving over to Cointelegraph. I actually like Cointelegraph's setup way more than I like CoinDesk's. And I know CoinDesk has way more opinion. They have an agenda pushed a whole lot more. It seems. That's just from experience with XRP. El Salvador launches Bitcoin certifications for civil servants. 2 key Bitcoin metrics signal steady bull. No bubble in sight. Beat crypto airdrop bots. New features. Okay, yeah. Binance returns to India as registered crypto exchange following 7-month ban. When does CZ get out of prison? CZ reports to prison. All right, just figure out 4 months after that, right? On June 3rd. Hey, that bro's time's almost served. Is he going to serve the full 4 months? A lot of times you can just go in there and be on your best behavior, and like you can earn some extra time off earlier or something like that. June 4th. That means he's been in there for 2.5 months of a 4-month sentence. That means he's almost done. 11 critical moments in Ethereum's history that made the number 2 block. 11 critical moments in Ethereum's history that made it the number 2 blockchain. Okay. Right? Like, hey, we don't have anything to talk about. I'm going to need you to go out and like do something. Okay, I'm going to come with 11 critical moments. All right, Bitcoin pinned below 60K. Is Bitcoin consolidating and preparing for more downside? $24 million CryptoPunk NFTs sold quietly as market interest fades. 3 reasons why Bitcoin won't be boring in September. Ether price drop due to investor sentiment, not the $420 million ETF outflows. Ethereum DApp volumes dropped 33% in a week. Is more ETH price weakness ahead? Right. It's so easy just to focus on all these things and then just take a look at the broader stuff. Like, if we want, I'm just tired of saying it. Well, I just don't understand why we can't be honest. Like, why do we have to perpetuate? I just think it's so much big business. You know what it is? Here's what it is. It's not as sexy. It takes away the magic. It totally takes away the fantasies, the cult, the belief system, the faith, the narrative. It takes away all of that when you just say, it's not the halving, it's not the supply mechanisms, it's none of that. It's totally just this. It takes it all away. And I think that's why there's so much fight about it. But I'd rather like, know reality than live in delusion. Okay. Hey, how about we turn this baby around? Happy Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday, dudes.
All right, here we go. All right, so what are we at? Oh, wow, we're at 27 minutes already? Dang. Shiva says, you have so many crybabies on X, it's hilarious. It's the law of large numbers. It's, and that started many years ago. That started in 2020. It's such a weird thing to have this many followers and stuff. And like, Eric, now Oscar was saying, Oscar Hernandez, the most famous man on the channel, was saying, we're going to work to get BCB to 1 million subscribers. And like, part of me is like, ugh. I don't think I have that in me, man. There's something that happens with the law of large numbers that, like, imagine like whenever you go and you leave reviews for businesses, how, you're more likely to go leave a review if you have a negative experience at a restaurant or something like that, right? Or a product review on Amazon if you have a negative experience because you want to go run and tell. But if you're happy, you kind of just sit in the sidelines and just quiet, and you don't feel the need to run onto Amazon. You don't feel the need to run to Google. But if you're upset, you go and do that. 99.99% of people are actually amazing. They really are. And the law of large numbers makes it crazy. So when you get to 1,000 people, even if 99.99% of those people are amazing, out of those 1,000 people, one of them is nuts, right? Like that's what 99.9, so 0.01%, not even 1%, just 0.01% is 1 out of 1,000. Then when you get to 10,000 people, well, then you have 10 crazies, right? You get to 100,000 people, you have 100 crazies. You get to 250,000 people, you have 250 crazies, right? While as of those 250,000 people, 249,750 are absolutely amazing. 250 are nuts. So getting to 1 million, it's like, hey, do I want 1,000 of them? Do I want 1,000? I don't know. So yeah, Twitter is exhausting, man. Yeah, it's truly exhausting. I use it as little as possible. Abdullah Al-Hudabi. And like 0.0001% are people who are legitimately insane. I have one guy who's created so many accounts. I suspect I know who it is. I suspect I actually know who the real person is. But they'll make guy accounts, they'll make girl accounts, they'll play these different roles. It's crazy. And the accounts interact with each other. And he's been doing this for years. I think I know who it is. Somebody who played Capo a long time ago. All right. Abdullah, hey BCB, following since 2020. Do you think there's a dip in the 40s in XRP soon? Dear God, I hope not. Right? I mean, we're getting to a point, the structure is just so difficult outside of just being ranging, right? You go down again. It'd be hard to make arguments, right? Like, you know, I'm running out of ideas here on XRP outside of it clearly having to have this, right? Right. If this market just goes kerplunk, Bitcoin goes kerplunk, guess what? XRP is going to kerplunk with it. You know, here we go. Bitcoin's got a nice little recovery there. Bitcoin back to 59.9 now, almost back to 60K. I saw somebody post earlier. BCP has the Cobb effect. Not anymore. And remember that time I went on vacation and everything crashed? You really want that? It's actually happened twice. During C19, I was camping. I hope there's not a dip into the 40s. Sam Hallett, hey, bro, could you post a video on your updated exit strategy, include a few examples of how you would exit the market for certain tokens? There's nothing really to change. Everything is still just the same as it always is. There's nothing to change. Derek Daniels, BCB, God bless you. I hope your little man is healing up nicely. Question for you today about Stark. Doesn't it look remarkably weak? What are your thoughts? It's just falling with the whole market. And that's the risk you have with those new launches. We talked about those with SUI, and we talked about that with TIA. The opposites. I think SUI fell 80% upon launch, and TIA went straight up after launch. Stark gave you the negative 90% after launch. It's just this looks like one of those ones that's going to move with the market, and with a brand new chart, you really have no way of determining where that bottom is unless you're seeing it in the rest of the market where the bottom is happening at. Martin Kelly, thank you very much, Derek. Martin Kelly, hey BCB, hope all your family are doing well. Is gold moving up a concern for crypto Russell expansion? Any thoughts on Chainlink at all? Well, it's always been a concern. It's a thing that we've harped on incredibly. Back. Yeah, this is back here, right? When gold started going through this breakout here in March, this is where crypto is getting euphoric, right? This is where people are screaming, Bitcoin's going to continue going. This is where everything is going to happen at. But we're back at retracements. We're sitting here on the channel doing the live stream saying, oh, geez, this is not good, right? This is March, right? March is where Bitcoin tops. Question is it running out of juice, right? And is it losing some of its steam in here? Which it could be. The breakout was the big worry thing. And that's when, of course, we saw the whole market stop its expansion, its run up back into, let's go see. Trying to find a good chart I'm willing to sacrifice here. We'll sacrifice Tron. Right. I don't know if I've ever put gold on top. right? So people, you look at this and you say, oh, they're moving together, right? But they're really not. When you get really tight with it. Right, so you could see gold. Let's darken that up a little bit. So you can see crypto has already done this big run up in here, right? And it's right here where gold goes in for this breakout. And it starts becoming, why is this happening in here, right? And then that's where this breakout occurs. And this market says, okay, we're out of juice. We're out of juice in here. With it continuing to move up, as long as it does continue to keep going up, it's hard to see the correlation of like crypto going with it. Let's go do this. Why is this like this? Okay. If this thing just keeps marching up, it just seems unlikely that there's an expansionary move coming in here. But if it's just getting, range, break to failure, then it's completely fine. But if this thing is in a full-blown bull run for gold, historically, there's the polar opposite effect between these two, right? And the thing is, it's just likely that's going to get back tested at a minimum. So it's hard for me to be fully convinced this thing is raging, right? This was scary. The big question, right? And this is the big thing we all have to ask ourselves because we don't know the answer to it, okay? If it just backtests like that, that's beautiful. That's wonderful, right? This is the environment that created crypto wildness, right? Right? So backtesting that whole environment, that's all beautiful stuff happening in here. The type of backtests we don't want to see is a C19 style backtest. That is actually a liquidity event that happens throughout the market, right? So if gold runs out of juice and just starts falling back towards to backtest the breakout of support, that type of environment is super great for crypto, right? So we saw this happen back in 2020, in June and July of 2020. This big move happened over here in gold, and then a big pullback happened, and all markets rampaged through that. If that's what we're going to end up getting, then everything is great. But if it ends up being a liquidity style backtest where S hits the fan in markets, that's not the same kind of thing. That's a liquidation of all markets. And in that event, my thoughts will be that we're backtesting, but gold is still going to keep marching up even higher. And in that event, that's not bullish for stocks. That's not bullish for equities. So I think the thing we're really kind of looking for is just to see a run out of steam with a gradual backtest to come back and hit that. Because I think it's going to hit it at some point. It's just how markets work. And hopefully that's the version that we have. Because that's good. All the people who are like gold and Bitcoin moved together, it's just not true. It's an opposite move, and the move is Bitcoin with expansion in equities. Thoughts on Chainlink? Well, with Chainlink's data looks good to me, right? Developer activity, developers, all that stuff. So I own it. It seems like that backtest was good enough, right? Range backtest seems good. Mo419 says, do you think Jackson Hole is when markets will go if Powell confirms rate cuts? I hope your son is doing okay since the accident. No, I don't think Jackson Hole will provide anything new. The market fully has priced in rate cuts. And I don't think Jerome Powell is going to come in there and signal anything different than what has already been said. Maybe he just says the economy is doing so great. We have noticed some slowdowns in some stuff, but otherwise we're just super healthy and like we're just so excited to lower rates because, while things are really strong, there's a couple of things that have suffered, but we're going to make them all good now. We're going to work to make those things really good now because we've totally got inflation under control. Unemployment, no worries. It's totally fine. But good times are coming, everybody, and we're fully confident of it. It's coming right now. I don't know. I don't know what he could say that would get markets triggered. I really don't. And then, and we're just for fun, we're going to start QE. We're going to stop selling mortgage-backed securities. We're gonna buy them just for fun. Yeah, I don't know what he would have to say. As for my son, yeah, he's doing great. I'm sure you all heard. He broke his arm a couple of weeks ago. It was totally traumatizing event. Happened. The break was so bad. Even though he got wrapped in a new cast a couple of weeks ago, they still left the splint that the emergency room left in there. And didn't redo everything because that splint was really just holding his arm together. So we got a cast over the splint that was given by the emergency room. Today, he's going back to the doctor right now, and this should be his last follow-up appointment for now, where he's getting another whole new cast over today. Where today is the big event where they're going to take the emergency room splint off of his arm, and he's going to get the cast that he got 2 weeks ago cut off. And then he's going to get a whole another one put on. And this one, will come all the way up the elbow and, totally immobilize his whole arm entirely. So excited to see him because he's already gone. Him and PTW are already gone right now. And so when I'm done with the stream and everything, when he gets home in a couple of hours, I'll get to see him with his new cast. But he's doing really well. And it's very annoying. Very annoying. I'm very happy that my son is doing well. My son is very wild. He's very energetic. He's a huge risk taker. He does not care. And nothing has changed. He didn't learn it. He didn't learn a single lesson from anything that happened. He is still just as wild as ever. Just before this stream started, he was trying to do something incredibly dangerous. Scared the daylights out of me. So, but yeah, he's doing well. We need to get through today's event. Once we get through today's event, he's got the real cast on, and all is well in the universe. And he can do all this little dangerous stuff. Hey, BCB. Thank you, Mo. Lenny says, hey, BCB, does Doge look like it's in a high time frame distribution to you? If so, there's an area of demand that hasn't been tapped yet at 5 cents. What are your thoughts? Normally, we don't look at lots of different altcoins, but I know Elon just tweeted his, what did he call it? Department of Government Efficiency is what he called this. So here's how I've looked at Doge for the years. My thoughts on it. Let's do the market cap of XRP because you could really see it there. There you go. I have viewed Doge as 2017 XRP. That's what the Doge run was. It was the story of 2021's bull run. That's what Doge was. So my thoughts have been like, people don't like to hear that. I don't think Doge is going to have another new bull run. I don't think it'd be very surprising if Doge went into a new all-time high anytime soon. Just with the sheer amount of time that has elapsed, setting any type of new low at this point, you're way beyond it, right? Again, this is another one of those reasons people are screaming back in March and April, we're getting ready for everything to break out, right? That everything was going to break out. The missing element was there, that we weren't seeing breadth and expansion in broader markets, right? It was a very hard fight on this channel to continue to promote that idea that there wasn't expansions happening. And that was very difficult, especially on Twitter. I hate Twitter. Be nice. Okay. The thing about it is just with the sheer amount of time, and conceptually, right, this comes down to wave 4, right? That's where XRP finds its bottom at here. And that happens during the C19 flush that ends up happening in here. You've gotten awfully close to it right there. And this is the capitulation of the market, right? This is where the whole market bottoms back there in June of 2022. It's where Ethereum bottoms, it's where XRP bottoms, where Litecoin bottoms, Binance Coin bottoms, Tron bottoms, right? Most of the market bottom there. Not everything, right? Including not Bitcoin. Most of the market did. The big names did bottom there back in June. That was our capitulation of this market. Your question is, will it come down all the way down here? And if so, it just means we have a long time left in this market. And Bitcoin's not going to moon anytime soon in the event of that occurring. So just based on how much time we've been in here, how much has elapsed, and again, kind of like in that last video that I put out discussing being like, you're feeling beat up, you feel like it's been a long time. Yeah, it's because it has been a long time. You've been in here a very long time in here. So we're talking about going to 4 cents or something like that. I would have thought 4 cents would have come right here in an August flush that happened right there, that we would have already gotten it. Otherwise, no telling how long we're going to be in this thing. But my thoughts are too that not a new all-time high for Doge. I think the market is going to be. It's not that I think it is. It's just that I have to look to past data and accept it for what it was. That 2021 was vastly different from 2017, in that in 2017, all you had to do was accumulate the top 10 assets. And if you did that, you got a 70x, right? That's all you had to do. And 9 out of 10 of them just crushed it to oblivion. That was not the market that we had in 2021. This market does not price itself like that. There's only 2 out of every 10 that did anything significant, including from the top 30. So you just randomly buying everything from the top 30, you had 2 out of 10. I think if you bought the whole top 30, you had 7, right? Which is 2.33 out of every 10 would have hit a new all-time high out of the top 30. So it's a different market, right? So it's not going to say that I'm going to sit here and say, I think if we go into expansion, the market will be similar to that. It's that I have to assume that if the market goes into expansion, it would be similar to that. And so I say there's a lot of people who have a lot of supply and who got a lot of supply at cheap. Prices went very high up. I think there's probably a lot of sell pressure. And if this market's going to be similar, then Doge would not be the story of expansion and being one of the massive winners into new highs. But more so that it would be one of these ones that gets back into retracement levels in here. Will it get to 4 cents? I would hope not, with how much time we've already been in here. I think I've kind of already expressed that and shown that. I think we've talked about that with Bitcoin, how much time you've been in here. I think if Doge made a fall from, where's that now, 10 cents down to 4 cents, that's a 60% fall happening in there. That would be much bigger problems showing up in the rest of the market. That would be Bitcoin breaking its 50-week moving average. Please, I challenge anybody to show me where that is an acceptable thing for a bull run for Bitcoin if you break a 50-week moving average. Let alone, it's already different that we've actually touched it. We shouldn't even be touching it. The benefit is just this is still the benefit. It got carried up a little bit high. It drifted the 50-week moving average up higher, but breaking down below it at this point shouldn't be happening. So I think if we saw Doge go to 4 cents, it'd just be signaling much bigger problems are happening throughout the rest of the market. So while I don't think I actually even own any Doge, I really don't think I own a single one. I'm not cheering for that because that's probably bigger problems throughout the whole market if you got 4 cents at this point. But I also am not a believer that it will be one of the big winners this time around because that big moment happened during the last cycle for Doge. Right. And I hope that we have a market that is more based on value and growth rather than memes moving forward. Memes are so, what is the term? Predatory. All the pump.funds, the new one with Tron, what is it called? Right. I've tried playing in them too, right? Just to test it out. I tried out the Tron one that just came out. It's the same story, right? It is so predatory. You don't have enough information, you're going to get rug pulled by these things. But we hear the stories of like the guy who won the lottery, right? The one guy who goes in and buys a scratch off ticket and got it, or the guy who walks in and picks the 7 lucky numbers or whatever and wins it. And we come to the belief that we can be the one to do that too. But it's just massively predatory. And so this is one of these things about this market that I doubt will fade, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Corey says, it looks like the 4-year cycle believers aren't expecting anything before October and expect a green Q4 and Q1. Why aren't they looking at the same thing? Because they're going to, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but my assumption is they're looking at November of 2021 as their top. We already know that's not true. All the technicals, everything. The top is here, April of 2021. They're looking to November of 2021 and starting their clock here, which is going to be the same thing, right? So remember, the general, and here's the hard part too, and the thing to think about at the same time on why it's so hard to get tops. Most of the world is going to be telling you that it's not the top. And there will be really smart people who won't recognize that it's the top. Right. I think we were just supposed to be having banana zone stuff happening here recently. Right. But the big stuff happening over here, I remember the CEO of Apple going on to television saying, everybody should have Bitcoin and Ethereum as part of their portfolio. That marked the day of the literal top. Right. We were coming off of Elon being everybody's favorite here. Then you get Tim Cook over here, and that marks peak top over here. Another thing that made it so hard in here is Coinbase is announcing all the hiring that they're doing, right? They're really bringing people on, right? The business is expanding. Even major companies, especially Coinbase, who has a look at the order books and order flows and how much growth is happening in there, didn't get it, right? They overhired, they had to downsize, they had to cut, they had to do lots of expense restructuring, everything like that. They got it wrong too. But in the heat of the moment, you think to yourself, why is Tim Cook going on TV? Why is Coinbase expanding? There's no signs that the peak is coming in and happening in here. And so, right, even me, in the heat of the moment, I expected this to be the peak. It wasn't until we got deep down in here that we had to look back at all the data because, right, there's no alt season in here. Devastating, right? Then we have to go back and look and say, while Bitcoin set a new all-time high, the actual peak of the market was back here, right? And the market behaved like it did back in 2017 and 18 as well, where the peak of euphoria happens, the retrace occurs to the 702. That's where the peak of the altcoins are, right? That was the peak of the market. Everything, technically speaking, on chain speaking, the only thing that wasn't the top of the market here was the price, which nipped into a new high like the Russell, right? But the peak of the market is all back in here, right? There just becomes this little blip, and that's it. So that when you look at it from that manner, it also explains why people were still looking for 12K, right? Because they're delayed. They're viewing it from this being the peak of the market. And so that's why all the way until October, people are still looking for 12K. And by using this peak and thinking in this manner. Well, we were saying that's not happening. It just can't happen. We're way past that. All the golden crosses, death crosses, monthly stochastic RSI had already shot up to the moon as if the bottom had already occurred, right? Let's look at this. Right, this was already coming off the floor as it had come off the floor back in here, right? Let's do this. I'll mark these. Right, that's the true. We'll change this to line. We'll make it red. We'll go full red, right? Stochastic RSI is coming off the floor. Stochastic RSI coming off the floor. Stochastic RSI coming off the floor, right? Long bear off the floor. Long bear off the floor. Long bear off the floor. I wish I didn't. I wish I did this on the other chart. But which is consistent with our peak being back here in April. So you can see that here, right? The stochastic comes off the floor over here in 2015, right? The bottom comes in, stochastic comes off the floor. Here, the fractal is overlaid right on top of it, starting there in April. Look at that. The stochastic comes off the floor exactly at the same point, right? Get rid of that, right? Right there, right there. That's where our stochastic comes off the floor. Right there. They're the same spots, the same amount of time. So anybody using way over here, that's just a weird time for it to happen, right? The market had already capitulated, right? And then the stochastic comes off the floor, rally. Stochastic comes off the floor, rally. Stochastic comes off the floor, rally. Right? And so that puts our peak back here. Like just even as simple as that. So, that's one reason why people a lot looking for 12K on the floor, not recognizing, like we had to really figure that out. We had to say, what the heck happened? Why was there no alt season right here? What ended up happening? And having to reflect, and like we set a new all-time high in a bear market. That's the crazy thoughts. That's the crazy thing that ended up happening. So, I think anybody looking at it from that light is I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. That is it, right? And then of course the price behavior. The price behavior acts the same way the whole way down. Then all the indicators on large time frames flip at the same spot, and then all these breakouts are all happening in here. So, people are just using that. I even gave a presentation in Australia, just utterly ravishing the whole 4-year stuff, ravishing block reward halvings, standing in front of hundreds of people, right? Like the way I talk here on the YouTube channel, I don't mind doing in person in front of hundreds of people. And I showed you guys most of that presentation here on the YouTube channel with like a 44-minute video a couple of months ago, my presentation in there and the data associated with all of that. So yeah, I just wouldn't trust, personally, I don't trust it because the data is not consistent that is the peak of the market. The peak of the market's back here. And that's your alt season. And that's why 90% of your altcoins don't do anything right here, because the peak of the market's back here. So all the people who were looking for 12K here had not recognized we were way past the bottom. So there's going to be a large segment of people who are operating approximately 9 months off, right? So that means when the top of the market comes in, they're going to be in the belief that there's still 9 more months left of this thing. And so you have to be really careful of that if this thing does expand, if it goes crazy, and people are like, ever since the black reward halving, this indicates we have 15 months remaining. You have to be, subtract 9, Guys, you're wrong. Okay. Yeah, I don't anything. Like, look. And here's another thing. We wrote about this too. Right. There's an alternative, right? There's one other thing that has happened that can be like the thing, right? What if nothing happens this month? What if nothing happens next month? What if nothing happens the month after that? Then what? Right? There's really only one more historical hope to be able to hold on to that has been consistent of past markets, right? And we went into detail on this on one of these newsletters recently, maybe a month or two ago, talking in depth about this particular topic. I think it was a subset of one of the newsletters and talking about it, that we know we're at that time, right? We're just at that time. We're at that time. We're at that time. But when it came to world events, let's go to the Russell. Stick with me. Fight through the silence. I know in live streams you're supposed to talk the whole time and keep people engaged. Just stick with me here. This is worth your time. Okay. Okay. Give it a minute. Okay. All right, here you go. Okay, these are all of your Bitcoin bull runs. Right? Russell and Bitcoin. Hey, look at this big 2-year-long bear market for Bitcoin that happened right in here. This is the one that people don't talk about when they try to sell you the 4-year block reward stuff. What about this one? What about this bear market that pulled down 93% and lasted 624 days. 624 divided by 365, 1.7, right? A year and 8 months. Here's a bear market that is negative 93% and lasts 1 year and 8 months. Is that the same as every bear market? No, it's totally different. But this one is never, ever talked about in 4-year cycle theory, in block reward halving theory. This one just is, we ignore this. We pretend that's not true. It doesn't fit our narrative. It doesn't fit our fantasy. Negative 93% that lasts 1 year and 8 months. It's totally inconsistent with all the baloney. So it doesn't get brought up. Why does it not get brought up? Because on most charts on TradingView, it's not here. This is the starting point on TradingView, November of 2011. You don't get to see this thing that happened before that is like this, that lasts 1 year, 8 months. That's negative 93% right here. It's just not on the chart. And none of the charts on TradingView will show you this unless if you type in BLX, which is Brave or Bitcoin Liquid Index. This is the one that gets us the data that goes all the way back to that time. We get back to 2010 here. And so on most charts, at least Bitstamp, your starting point is right in here. And you don't get to see, and this is what it looks like. That's what the Bitstamp chart looks like. Let's go like this. I'm rambling way too much, guys. We're going to cross that hour period pretty soon. Right? So that's where that starts. Right? There's no data prior to that right there. So this one never, ever, ever gets brought up. That there's a 1 year, 8 month bear market of negative 93% that happens for Bitcoin right in here. What's the question? Where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. I know what I'm doing. Here we go. We're back on this, right? So what we were talking about is like, what happens if nothing happens in the market this month? What happens if nothing happens in the market next month? What happens if nothing happens in the market the month after that? And 4-year cycle theory finally gets proven to be a bunch of baloney. We started talking about this bull run right here, right? This is one that lasts 1 year. This bear market's 1 year and 8 months, negative 93%. And you see the escape happening here with Russell. Here's the bear market that most people have on their radars. The first thing that they have studied, that's the 2014 through the 2017 bear market. That is this guy right here, overlaid on top of where we are right now. And then comes the escape. And then over here, of course, 2020, 2021, where most participants in this market came in here, all in this moment, laser eyes, diamond hands, Wall Street bets. At least about 2/3 of market participants who are here right now came in during this moment right in here. But there's something interesting about these escapes that happen in here and when things occur, in that we know we're there on timing. We know we're there. We know we're there on timing on charts. But we know we have to have expansion happen in broader markets. And there is something that is consistent about the expansions that do happen here in the broader markets, in that this expansion takes place right here in late December. Let's make sure that's December. That's not January 1st. It's January 1st, where the Russell breaks. January 1st, January 2nd, 2023. January 2nd, because the market would have been closed on January 1st. Here's this one, November of 2016. Here's this one, November of 2020. So what is consistent about that? They're all 4 years apart, right? This one's off by about a month. 4 years, 4 years. right? And so 4 years from November of 2020 is November of 2024. But what is so significant about November? And that is when the U.S. presidential election comes to a conclusion. And the kickstart of this was the completion of the election. So once the election happened, that is where this market started to rally from. The market rallied and started going into expansion when Trump won the presidency. This market goes on and rallies after the election, right? Here's election day right there. What happens? Then the market goes off into actual expansion. So the last two actual expansions that we saw happen in broader markets that led to expansions and breadth openings all occurred right when the elections were done, right? Will that be the case? If we don't see any action happen within the market, that kind of becomes like the last thing to look at as an event and say that would be it, right? Is that we get to that, and that's the thing that ends up occurring. So if we don't see anything happen, that's really the thing that you have next is to say, look, this is what happened the last two times the elections came to completion. The expansion happened right thereafter. The expansions are what led to Bitcoin bull runs. Don't be fooled otherwise, right? Whether or not we have to have the expansion or not, or whether or not we have to have the elections, that's the $1 million question. Hard to put it on that is the requirement, right? But if nothing happens, that's kind of the last thing you can look at when it comes to 4-year cycles and all that kind of stuff. That's like that's the ending point. That's the last thing you have. Election, expansion. That's it. All right, sorry, I'm trying to catch up in chat. I spent a lot of time on that. Oh my gosh, I'm in an hour and 11 minutes. Holy cow. All right, guys, we're going to have to go kind of quick. I do apologize. I took my time today. Texas Takeover, member for 16 months with a ton of frogs. Thank you, brother. XRP Revolution. Good morning, BCB. What would be the estimated new low for XRP after the bull run? Thanks for everything. And dude... See, that's a lot of people counting their eggs before they hatch. Just to be honest, right? Like, I'm imagining price go to moon, I sell at peak of moon, and then I buy at bottom of next bear and just crush it. The first, like, let's just get to expansion first, right? I think that's our big thing we're worrying about. I don't care two rats, to be honest, about where the next bottom is after that. I just want to see escape happen right now. That's really all I care about. And then we can do measured moves from there. Thank you, brother. Kenji, VT, ABCB, you mentioned that NFTs might make a comeback, but since you've known for relying on data, do you have evidence to support this, or is this more of a gut feeling that NFTs would return? Greetings from Belgium. Yeah, that's just based on narrative. We've talked about this. You have different things you can look at that are data driven, like when you're looking at total value locked, user activity levels, development activity, percentage drawdowns. I can't remember. There's another metric I can't recall. And we've done the data comparisons to show how those can outperform. But there's other things that happen, and we wrote a newsletter on this, I think 4 months ago, where it became sector specific. It's very difficult to predict a sector specific narrative of speculation, right? We saw it in gaming, we saw it in RWA, we saw it in meme coins, and AI, right? That was the last sector specific speculative bull run, right? My speculation on NFTs is based off of there's still those people in existence that are just here to have a good time and to be crazy and to be wild. I just think the meme thing's going to run out of juice. I think everybody has gotten sick of memes. I would think, the predatory nature of them has probably just made people sick of them. And I just think they'll look for something that has more cultural connection and community. which meme tries to create culture but doesn't really. But like that's what's cool about the NFTs is like you are part of something, and that's I think there will be a resurgence in that over memes, and that's just speculative, sector specific guessing, just like AI, RWA, gaming, and memes were during the last sector specific speculative run. Brendan, hey BCB, it's been a while since you brought up the ADA chart. Can you let us know your thoughts on it? Thanks for all you do. Yeah, I still like ADA. I think ADA. I think it is my third largest holding. If it's not third, it's fourth. But it just reminds me of all the things we went through in 2021 or 2018 through 2020. And still the waiting game. But I've made a bigger bet on this one than other ones. So I'm confident in as confident as you can be in this weird genre of investing that we've all decided to get ourselves into. This is the one I'm more confident on than others. It doesn't mean 100%, but obviously I've placed my bet higher on Cardano than I have on others. Jonathan Nisia, member for 10 months. Hey, BCB, Saturday I went to my first Taylor Swift concert on Wembley Stadium. Heck of a show. Been a longtime fan of both of you. Keep up the good work. Oh, that's crazy, man. Have ticket prices come down at all? I don't know. I think I can tell you guys now. I don't think I ever told you. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. Did I tell you guys I went to the Eras tour? I don't think I told you. I did tell you. I told you? Stash says you're no longer a Swiftie. I haven't been jamming Swift as much. You know, I think like most people, I got pretty kind of tired out of that Travis Kelce stuff. Like, it's just odd. It's just weird. Then they win the Super Bowl. And it's all weird. And it's like in your face nonstop. So I kind of backed off a little bit after all that. XRP Revolution says, shout out to my girlfriend, Mandy. I love you. She will be watching this on replay. In blockchain backer voice. I love you, Mandy. Yeah, BT says my daughter doesn't like it anymore. Right. And so my daughter's getting older. She's moving on from Taylor Swift. So we don't hear it as much in the house anymore. So it's not on repeat too much anymore. And I don't mind being critical. I know her out. Like, I know there's a Folklore album. There's something Evermore. Those were both not my jam. And then her most recent one that came out, I didn't like a single one on there. But like, I thought Midnight's was good. And I thought the Reputation one was good. But like, it's only like one out of every few that are okay. So I don't know. Maybe if she comes out with a new banger CD or something. But I got to move on, guys. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. I can't believe I'm still going. Keshav Lakshman Hey, BCB, can you overlay XRP and ADA and others onto the Tron chart? Since Tron is leading the market, I saw interesting insights on what might take off next. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do if I overlay all of them. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. But thank you for the super chat, brother. Jonas Fugalis, member for 13 months. My man, thank you. Enrico Vidal, hey, BCB. Gold is 3.618 from the 80s top to the 1999 bottom. What if we try to get to the 4.236 until rate cuts and pullback just enough to give the juice to markets and fuel the bullish cuts narrative? I don't know if there's going to be bullish cuts. We're talking about this? Yeah. What are we at? Are we almost? Oh, good eye. Good eye. Hey, man, there we go. That'd be a perfect time to let a correction start to come in here. I don't know why I haven't done that. It's been a while. Just go back that far. Look at that beautiful, just 702 during the Great Financial Crisis. The Great Financial Crisis was right back there to send it off. Right? Let's get stuck under that 702. Let's break that 702. Let's Great Financial Crisis back to that 702 and let us go. And I forgot that I do know the Spanish word for that. Vámonos. I think I like let us go more, though. Thank you, Enrico. We'll see, man. Larry Chisholm, good morning, BCB. How do you find fractals or repeating patterns? Do you look for similarities in context first? For example, you saw C19 crash, so sure looks like the yen carry trade crash. Thank you, sir. I think it's like having a database in your head. There's one thing to be said of like, just understanding how to look at charts and stuff. Or it's like this, like, so right now I'm trying to like get good at gardening, but like I really suck at it because like I don't know if I'm overwatering something or underwatering something or some type of fungus shows up or something occurs or what type of soil to use and everything like that. But it becomes one of those things that I'm assuming after enough time and a couple of seasons and a couple of years, I'll just naturally get better at it because I'll learn something from it and I'll remember things from the past, right? Like, oh, I did this before. That didn't pan out. What I should have done was this. And nothing really beats just kind of getting your hands in it and experience. So just many years of many hours every week looking at charts, studying charts, trying to figure out what was it that caused price to U-turn or turn around, what was the market doing, that, and when you look at something 100 times, kind of like a kid studying for a spelling bee or learning vocabulary words, the more you look at it, the more it gets engraved in your brain. And so spotting those things and remembering those things is just simply because practically all day, every day, my face is jammed into the screen looking at these different things. And that's what ends up finding them. And why I can pull them out and be like, I've seen that somewhere. Where did I see it? Oh, yeah, at this chart that I've looked at 100 times. And that's typically where they come from. Just experience, spending a lot of time. And so I think it's just, I think with something like that, you just kind of have to enjoy doing it all day. And you don't mind. Kind of like solving a puzzle all day. If you just don't mind doing it, then you'll do it. But if it's kind of a chore, you probably won't, Thank you, Larry. All right, guys, I'm going to have to go faster, so I'm going to have to skip on a lot of stuff. I'm just going to have to make them quick. I'm at an hour and 25. I don't remember the last time I let it go this long, but I'm not even caught up. So, and I'm way behind. I'm like 40 minutes behind on the super chat. So I'm going to go through them real quick. But thank you all for your support and thank you for being here. Nobody, just a witness, says, I wonder if XRP and XLM will rise about the same percent. I wonder if Casino Coin will die on the XRP ledger. Am I the only one still holding since 2019? LOL. I'm assuming that coins that are on the XRP ledger are a product of other things that we do see. For example, when Ethereum takes off, shortly after follow ERC20 tokens and then follow Ethereum NFTs, right? Like Solana, when Solana takes off, afterwards Solana NFTs and then Solana meme coins, right? So it's likely a thing where XRP holders in general have to be able to get some money, then become irresponsible with their money and not be tight with it, right? And be willing to risk take with it and spread it around and do stuff and do that in ecosystems that they already know how to use. So likely any type of XRP token that is launched on the XRP ledger likely needs XRP to go first so that the people who are in that ecosystem have the money to be able to spread it around. And so I wouldn't count those tokens out, but I'm pretty sure it's a product of XRP needing to create some wealth for the holders first. As for percentages with Stellar Lumens and XRP, I don't know. I haven't compared the two of them in quite some time, but likely something similar. Reflect, maybe. I don't know. Stellar Lumens weirds me out. Like, I do own some Stellar Lumens, but I believe my Stellar Lumens bag is like 3% of the size of my XRP bag. 3%. I don't see a reason to own a lot of it. If it's tied to XRP, then they'll just ride XRP. And I don't know of a Stellar Lumens community. It's just XRP people holding Stellar Lumens. And it's just too weird to me that any news related to XRP pumps Stellar Lumens. It's just bizarre. On Reflected Digital, hey everyone, like the stream. Best way to support the channel. Just a thank you today, BCB. And Thanksgiving is bro for all you do, man. Thank you for your patience with all of us lazies. My man. Very kind, very generous, and just a nice general comment. And then a lot of people liked it. Thank you. I wish we could end right there. But like, okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Eric Smith, 313, member for 13 months. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way out the door. Thanks, BCB. That's right. I have not begged for likes. We have 2,000 people in here. We have 940 likes. If you guys could help me get to 1,000, I'd appreciate it. You just hit X on the chat, hit like, and then hit live chat, and you're back. And it takes 3 seconds. Big D says Trump, Bull Run, Camilla, Great Depression. So I have a hard time with that, right? So we don't get political on this channel. And I don't think I've given any impressions on which way I lean politically. And I think most people probably guess, and you probably get it right. But I don't think that's true, especially what I just showed on that chart. The expansion happened with both of them. It happened when Trump won, and it happened when Biden won. That was the marker of expansion happening in both of them. But people have said that all the time, right? So don't fall for that trap. Don't fall for that trap of believing a single person is going to be it. I want to comment on it, but like there's things let's just say I'm not a fan of Gary Gensler. I want Gary Gensler gone. I think that tells you all you need to know. And I just keep it at that. All right, BCB, do you still hold US and XTZ? I owned XTZ? I don't recall owning XTZ. I don't recall owning XTZ or Tezos. EOS. In June of 2022, we talked a lot about it when the market was capitulating, that EOS was rotated. Jack says Michael Berry liquidated his position in gold. Let's talk about, let's talk about Michael Berry just really fast. Michael Berry is very famous for shorting the housing market, right? And there's things to remember, and there's a lesson in there that you need to recognize about Michael Berry. Okay? Have you seen The Big Short? Has everybody seen The Big Short? Okay. Michael Berry shorted the housing market. He found, there was no way to be able to short it, so he came up with investment ideas, presented them to banks, and began to be able to short the housing market. He ended up getting it right. But if you saw how it went, he went through a period of really rough times. When he started shorting the housing market, he started shorting it here in 2006, right? Then for the next 2 years, the market rallied against him. And his timing was wrong. This is a moment where the market breaks out into new all-time highs, and it just keeps going. But all that stuff you see him of shorting the market is in here. And this is in an environment that we talk about. Where there's an elevated Fed funds rate. The market goes breaking out to new highs. Everybody's euphoric. Everything's fine. Remember people saying, "Are you an idiot? Shorting the housing market? How dumb are you?" Right? But he was so early. He was 2 years ahead of all of this. And not only was he 2 years, but he was 3 years ahead of when the actual housing market really crashed on itself. And then the stock market went down with it. And all of the shorts paid. Where at the end of the movie, you see him walk up and he's like, net profit plus 364%, or whatever it was. I don't remember what the number was. But there's this, it took 3 years. And so like he's gone down in history as this legend, right? But we don't reflect back on that he recognized and saw those problems years ahead of time. And he only became the legend afterwards. Prior to that, watch the movie. He was the laughing stock the whole time, right? People wanting their money back, threatening to sue him not answering his emails because life was just getting so crazy, him not answering phone calls. S was hitting the fan in his life for the first 2 years of that trade, and then it eventually paid off, right? And so we keep talking about those types of things happening right in here. And of course, people are like, "You're an idiot," right? Like it's blah, blah, blah. But we got that elevated Fed funds rate, and this thing, of course, is up. And it's been almost a year now, and not even a year, but like 8 months or something. That it's been up in here, right? If this thing rolls over and blah, anybody who's pointing it out in here is going to get viewed as a legend. Right now, they don't. They look like idiots, and hopefully it's just wrong. All right, hopefully it just keeps on going. But so anytime Michael Berry makes a move, everybody reflects back on he's the legend who got the housing market. But forget that he also was years ahead. And he had to go through years of trash and years of the market going against him. I remember him writing the board like negative 40% on like how it was. Like his office was empty. Everything was trash. And so while he got that thing right, it's important to remember timing is very difficult. Timing is a very, very, very difficult thing to get. And I pay attention. Michael Berry's doing something that's like, okay. He's seeing stuff. But just remember timing is very hard. And he has struggled with it as well. So when you're thinking of that, don't forget it was the same story. Recognizing the problem years ahead of time, the economic data was showing up and telling him, oh boy, it's going to get really bad. But it took 3 whole years until it ended up happening. And right, a lot of those similar things are here. The housing market's not the same at all. There's not a ridiculous amount of risky loans that are underwritten with people extremely upside down. Are there people who are upside down who bought the top of the market? Of course there are. But it's not like back then. Even back then, I got to buy a house when I was in my younger 20s, and all I had to do was put down like $3,000 earnest money or something. And then I got a 7.25% interest rate where I was making like $45,000 a year. And my loan to income ratio was like, I don't know, 45 or 50%. Not even married. Like they were just writing risky loans back then, right? It was a weird time. That doesn't exist now, right? And most people have an extreme amount of equity in their homes, and they have, 2.5% to 4% interest rates on their homes with built-in equity. So not something where they have to walk away, right? And that was another thing too about that. Like people don't understand if you're under 35 years old, people would just walk away from the house. You hadn't built any equity in the home, right? You suddenly couldn't pay your mortgage. You're already upside down $100,000 on the house. You couldn't even pay your mortgage. What was the point of even trying to sell it? What's the point? I'm going to go through all the work to sell this house only to owe the bank another $100,000 after I sell the house. So people just walked away. And so instead of like flash sailing it and selling it really cheap, they'd walk away, and then it would just become a foreclosure property sold by the bank. So anyway, long story. We're moving on. I'm supposed to be done with this live stream, and I'm still going. Okay. Amberlyn Reed, I support Jenna's side. I don't know. I guess that's Jenna. Jenna's fighting, right? Jenna XRP. Okay. I made it. We all made it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of it. I think I caught up to everybody. We'll see how things go throughout the week. Hopefully a couple more things can start to break out and get going with it. Otherwise, happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is Wednesday, my
But on that note, we're wrapping it up. This is a long Markets on the Morning. I didn't anticipate to go this long, guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the channel. I appreciate it. I will check in with you guys with a video tomorrow. On that note, check out BC. Oh, that's not BCBacker.com. This is blockchainbacker.substack.com. Check out the newsletter over here. Most recent one written a couple of days ago. Of course, includes all the audio recordings, and all the research that's ever been done is included in here. If you subscribe to the newsletter, you get access to all the past newsletters, all the past audio recordings, and you can just have a wonderful world of podcasts available at your hands. That's available over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Of course, check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Oh, okay. Trying to trip me up. Well, then here's what we'll do. While I appreciate the super chat, Amberlyn Reed, you banned. Well, thank you for the heads up there. I appreciate it. All right, there we go, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like JB Estrada, web members only. We'll do it this week. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content or when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.